Okay, welcome. So we're here for another recording for the Working Minds Gibraltar LinkedIn group. And I have the pleasure today to be here with Victoria Pretty. She's Senior Business Partner in the People Function for Aviva Asia. So thank you, Victoria, for taking the time to talk to me about well-being at work.
Hi.
Well, one of the first questions I'd like to ask, which is, probably doesn't get asked very often because we just take it for granted by now, but why support people's well-being at work?
Well, I mean, anyone in HR will know that, people are your business, basically, and you've got to look after your people to have a successful business. And that means, health-wise, as well as development-wise, giving them the right tools to do their job, as well as making sure they're happy in the workplace and they feel as good as they can be. That's really why we have HR departments nowadays. It's not just about counting holidays and, providing letters and contracts. It's really about making the most out of the people we've got.
So really get the best out of them whilst they at the same time, feel good and feel content and feel like they engaged and contributing.
Yeah, and I mean we do get a lot out of people. I mean, people are in the office or at work, 7-8+ hours a day. It's a big chunk of their life, so we want to make sure that they are feeling and feeling happy and being well while they're here.
Yeah, amazing. So have there been, I know you have implemented various programs or strategies at Aviva. Are there perhaps a few that you would say were the most successful, where the people, perhaps also the company, got the most out of?
Yeah, well, I suppose Aviva in Asia, we are a big life insurer. We provide group benefits for other companies for medical insurance and critical illness as well. So I suppose our wellbeing proposition, it stemmed from us being lucky enough to have the data available on our employees, because we do provide them with their medical insurance. So that was our starting point, really. Anonymously looking at claims data of our employees and really using the data analytics to identify, well, what are the highest illnesses, what are the most frequent claims coming from, and from that we were able to build a picture of how healthy our workforce is. And we've used that data to really educate the employees and be aware of where there are certain illnesses that maybe we can help with. The percentages of high blood pressure or the percentages of coughs and colds. Through our Lunch and Learn program and team meetings, we've been able to kind of say to the employees, like, well, look, we are spending quite a lot on these illnesses. How can we help you to improve them? How can we, educate people to, self-medicate? Yes, not saying don't go to the doctor and don't claim, but just to really understand and help people be healthy in certain areas where we know there's problems. We wouldn't target employees. I say anonymously, because we wouldn't target employees and say, you've got really high health claim, like medical claims in this one area, and we want to help you get healthier. We do it very much like for everyone. And hopefully those people that might be struggling with their health will identify with those topics and learn from them. So we do have really high engagement on Lunch and Learns. We call it base camp activities, where we put on about 20-30 different programs between an hour or 2 hours a month. And we have different topics. A lot of it is about nutrition. So we even do like cooking classes in the office. We do a lot of fitness as well. So there's twice weekly yoga classes in the office, Pilates, there's a running club.
Wow.
And we do get high turnout for that. But I think more and more recently we've been understanding the importance about spiritual health as well, and like emotional energy. It's not just about fitness and nutrition. It's more about how do people feel within themselves. Are they very stressed because of either work or outside of work? Do they need some downtime? Do they need some relaxation? So we have been introducing more and more meditation classes, and just trying to get people to understand their life purpose. We've taken quite a lot of guidance from the Johnson & Johnson Human Performance Institute, and they do some great programs on looking at different for employees, and a lot of that is focusing on the emotional and spiritual energy. So this thing about life purpose has definitely changed our lunch and learns in the last year, and education to managers to say, well, you've got to keep closer to your employees. You've got to understand if they're unhappy about something, it could be for many different reasons. And, we really need to understand that and help them through that as well.
Amazing. So what I'm hearing, it's very much about helping people to create a better life for themselves. And I guess very fortunately you were able to access some data about the areas that are tricky or sticky for people, and really address them in a very focused manner. Coming from that insurance perspective, do you think that may be something that will happen in the future, where employers will be able to look at their data, as a whole, and have a look at, okay, our employees are struggling with, anxiety, or maybe they struggle with back pain or whatever, and then form their well-being strategy specifically around that? Do you think they'll become a sort of a working together of the insurer and the employer in order to provide something that's preventative?
Yeah, definitely. And I think what we've been doing at Aviva, we were hoping to actually package it up and almost, give it to our other clients. We insure a lot of big companies' medical insurance. So, we're hoping that what we've done this year in our office, we can kind of package that up and give it to our clients to, spread the word about how important these things are to employees, and show the successes of how it can impact your business, and of course how it can impact your medical claims, because that is a cost to companies.
Yes. Yeah,
I think it is to do with culture as well. So I think, when you talk about anxiety, how can you measure anxiety? It's actually quite hard to measure the non-physical aspects of wellness. Yeah. And that's really where a lot of companies, hit a brick wall, because, you can say to someone on a scale of 1 to 10, how anxious are you, or how stressed are you? But it's really, really very hard to kind of quantify that. That's why I say managers have a massive part in getting close to their team members and really understanding how they are. Yes. In and outside of work. So it's a little bit more of getting to know your employees, rather than, being able to rely on data the whole time.
Yes, yeah. And I think the thing is with, for example, anxiety or low moods or stress, pressure, etc., it's not linear. We have peaks and troughs of it. So down, yeah. It's recognizing when those peaks are becoming too high a mountain to climb, or too big a mountain to climb, and being able to then support people through that. I'm particularly interested in my work around how do we enable people to deal with all that is demanded of them, in today's world, where we're constantly connected, workloads are huge, the pace is incredibly fast. How do we help them, thrive despite that, rather than, I think what sort of the approach was perhaps about, 10 years or so ago, was to offset. Okay, if you're very stressed, well, you're going to have to just offset it with downtime. But when then people come back into the stressful environment or into the pressured environment, it hasn't helped, to address that. So I think, do you see there to be any particular things that a company can do to enable people to really grow through those challenges, rather than them becoming a problem?
It's a lot about communication. We have to know what the problems are first. So you've got to start off with a very open culture where employees feel open enough to come to you and say, I'm stressed, or I'm anxious, or I'm overwhelmed. And in a lot of cultures, some in Asian cultures in particular, kind of that openness sometimes isn't there. Mm. So you have to build that culture. So it's very much two-way feedback, and you have to let people know they're in a safe environment to tell you what's going on. Only then can we help them. Yes, we can try and guess, we can try and support them in the fundamentals, but you have to get to know like the diversity of different people's problems. But I mean, most companies now have things like flexible working policies where, if there's stresses at home and people need to spend more time at home, then we are able to give people working from home contracts or certain hours out of the day where they can be at home and work at the same time, or time off, unpaid leave, support when their family members are ill, support when they're ill as well. So most companies should have that in place now. But really it's giving people the support, the personalized support that they may need, and understanding what their problems are and how they deal with it. Different people deal with stress in many different ways. A lot of people just shut it off and pretend it's not happening. And when they get home from work, then they just, deflate. And that's how they kind of cope with it. They deflate at home. And then the next day, come 9 o'clock, they're in the office, bright smile, ready to do another day. But that's not sustainable. So we need to understand really how people are along the way.
Yeah, I really agree with you with that. And, it's really individualized because, the pressures we have are so different for all of us. The same pressure and stress could feel very different for me than for the next person, and how I deal with it. And you've really, you've been really talking about the culture and creating that culture where people feel safe, they feel okay to reach out if they need to get the support that they need. Now, how do you create a culture like that? That's a big question.
It's a big question. I mean, I always say culture comes from the top. Your leaders, they have to show behaviors that they want their employees to show as well. I've been working on culture for many years in different companies. But really it all comes from the top. You have to really agree with the CEO, with the management team, well, what culture do we want to build? If it's a very open culture, then you have to show yourself that you're very open. You have to talk about your personal issues and challenges, or professional issues and challenges as well, to the employees. You have to show that it's okay to say, I'm struggling now, or I'm not feeling well, or I'm very overwhelmed with workload. So the culture has to start from the top, and definitely here in Asia, people have to almost be given permission to say, you can tell us anything that you feel comfortable telling us with. You can tell us when you're struggling. But, culture of countries and different nationalities, that varies greatly throughout the world. So changing a culture on that level is beyond what I'm trying to do. But
yes,
culture within the company, you have to make it very open, and just make sure your leadership team are really committed to showing the employees how we want them to behave.
So would you say, and I think that's what you're saying, but correct me if I'm wrong, is that culture from the top really has to be honest and transparent? It's not something that you can pretend and put on, because my experience is, if you pretend to be open and caring and supportive, it doesn't work. People are not going to buy it, because you can have great policies in place, but if you're not approaching it and seeing it that way, it's just going to come across. There is no, we can just tick a box and pretend that we are having this wonderful culture.
Yeah, and culture comes out, behavior comes out when people feel comfortable. If they're putting on an act, then they're not going to feel comfortable. They're not going to be able to achieve what they want to achieve. You're absolutely right, and really that's when it comes back to recruitment as well. You've got to recruit the right people into your company, and part of the recruitment and assessment of skills and experience, you have to assess what kind of culture or what kind of person they are, what kind of values they have, and whether that would fit with your company, so that they're not pretending to be something they're not, or someone they're not, so that they have the right behaviors already when they walk into that company. And here, definitely, that's part of our recruitment assessment. Do they have the right values? Do they have the right behaviors, and as well as the technical skills and the experience that we need them to do the job?
Now, out of curiosity, because I think this is fascinating, is if a company recruits someone that then turns out perhaps doesn't have the right attitude and behaviors that sort of fit with the culture, is that then a dead end, or is there scope to put things into place, perhaps coaching, training, etc., to help them, really learn about the culture that there is, and how who they are may fit into that, and it becomes again a positive and good fit for the company and for the person?
Oh, definitely. You can recruit someone. Of course, you never really know what they're going to be like fully until they start doing the job, start sitting with the team, start being managed or managing people. And yeah, that's when companies, especially here, we have very good learning and development programs that span over many different topics, not just like to your work, but also about mindset. So the last couple of years, we've done quite a lot on growth mindset courses, growth mindset books, for all employees, just to kind of say, we want you to have a growth mindset. The business is in growth mode. We want you to feel empowered to kind of expand your mind and think, well, anything is possible. If you have a great idea, implement it. First of all, say it. If you've got a good idea about how things can change, say it, and then really think innovatively about how you can implement it. Businesses are changing all the time. We need people to change with them, and we have lots of long-serving employees, and they've had to change throughout our business changes. So growth mindset is so important. That does, bring us on to, can you teach a growth mindset? Can you change it? In some cases you can't. And that's when you'd have to think, well, is this person the right fit for the company? But there's so many variables. At the end of the day, we need people to come in and do the job for the business. And as long as they're doing that job really well and producing what we need to produce from them, then great. But it's not going to work if they don't have the right attitude. And as well, if they're not looking after themselves. So, we have started putting the onus on the employee to say, well, we are employing you. That's a responsibility for you to be the best you can be, not just at your desk, at your laptop, but, you know, feeling healthy, being healthy. That's really the responsibility of the employee as well, to get enough sleep so they come into work alert and not tired, to eat the right things so that they're not feeling lethargic or they're not getting ill. So we can teach all of this to them, but really it is their responsibility as well to be the best they can be.
I absolutely love that, because and this is probably leading perfectly into my next question, because what you're saying about it's really about raising the bar for the employees as well, and saying that you have a responsibility here. And also what you were saying around the whole growth mindset, you know, training, development, etc. I see a really, really strong link between performance, success, optimization, mindset, and how we do work, and the strong link to our well-being. Because when we are engaged, when we feel like we're contributing, when we feel like we're making a difference and we're really getting somewhere, we enjoy coming to work. We enjoy getting out of bed. We don't end up feeling, what's the point? Oh, maybe I'll just, you know, not bother. It really, we don't end up on that other side of the spectrum of well-being if we are really supporting and developing people. So I love that. And so it leads perfectly into one of the questions is, how do you approach supporting people's well-being that doesn't create a victim culture? And how do you manage that? Because often well-being is seen as this softly, you know, mollycoddling people. We just do it for you. And if you need time off, oh yeah, that's okay. But actually what I'm hearing you saying, and what I really like, is it's a two-way thing, and there's a challenge there as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, we definitely see it as a two-way street. You know, you've got to set the expectations of what we want people to achieve here. I mean, that's pure business, really. You know, there's a job to do. We need them to do it. So setting very clear objectives. And yeah, sometimes those objectives are about, you know, being in the office, doing the work. I mean, lots of companies struggle with high sickness, absence. And you have to be very, very careful to manage those people and really try and help them to not have so much absence, because at the end of the day, that we need someone to be here to do a job. But we have to be sympathetic to them. We have to help them. And we're very, very happy to do that. But yeah, there comes a time where you have to say, well, you know, we want you to be in work, and we want you to be in work as well. So if there's any other reasons why you don't want to be here, I mean, fine, you know, people get illnesses and people cannot help getting illnesses, but they need to show the effort to try and get better and really be as good as they can be. On the flip side to that, I've got people who are very ill and they still want to come to work, and we're like saying, no, you're really ill, you need to be at home, you need to rest, and we're going to support you all along the way. Don't worry about your job, it's here, but right at the moment, we're happy for you to be at home and rest and get as well as you can be.
So would you say that some of the mindset training, and I don't know if it also involves coaching, has helped you as a company to really support people and challenge them at the same time? Is that equal measure of, actually, this is the outcome we want, and we're supporting you to create that? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, you know, the growth mindset training, all the work we've done on growth mindset, that is us setting the expectation, you know, for them to have a growth mindset. So everyone knows very well that they need to have this growth mindset. They need to have this openness. They need to have this can-do and achieving attitude. And if we have examples of where people aren't showing that, then we can call it out. So yeah, definitely. We also put all of our people managers go through coaching training, not a full-blown coaching qualification course or anything, but definitely bite-size trainings to show the difference between telling someone what to do and, coaching them to come up with the result or the answer themselves. And that's definitely part of growth mindset. So all of our managers, again, have that expectation that you need to be a coach to your people. It's not just you telling them what to do. It's a two-way street. They have to come up with ideas. They have to bring their intelligence to the table. And really, if we all do that, we can make this business a very big success.
Amazing. I've got one last question because I know we're running out of time. And this is more of a personal opinion question because I think perhaps there isn't so much work done on that yet. And it's an interest of mine around the fact that, the increase in technology, AI, there's often, loads of talk about, there'll be certain jobs that will become redundant because they'll be machine led, etc. And we've already seen a lot of changes through technology. We're constantly connected, et cetera, et cetera. But the changes that we've already experienced and the massive changes that we're going to face in the future moving forwards and the effects that has on people's lives and their work, what do you think is required in order to sustain a thriving workforce that is ready for those challenges and ready to meet those challenges without increasing some of the mental well-being issues that we're facing at the moment?
Obviously Aviva's been changing in the digital journey for the last 4 or 5 years, and we've been retraining and developing employees where we know there's going to be changes in their jobs. And until now we've not made redundancies as a result of digital changes. We've been able to retrain everyone into new jobs where they might be using automation or AI or robotics or more systems. But I think that the sheer increase of use of technology on people, that's a slightly different topic. We all have our phones. We're all checking emails 20 hours a day, and we do discourage that. And I think that's part of our culture here, where we say you don't have to be online 24/7. You don't have to be in the office for 10 hours a day. We want you to rest. So we have to push people to say, don't worry, don't take on too much. There's all this data and all this technology that we want you to use, but only at certain times. But we have to understand that that's the way business is going, and people need to be tech savvy. People need to learn more tech skills so that they can keep up with the workforce and the change in the future of work. But it's happening at every company. So changes that we're implementing here, or new systems or new automated ways, even if you go to the next company, they're also going to be doing it. So we need to really teach people in that right environment that this is the way that business is going. But be mindful that they're not getting overwhelmed by it, and that we're giving them enough time to get used to it and not get stressed about it as well. I heard one company, I think in India, they actually cut off their emails at 7 o'clock at night. So even if you sent emails after 7, they wouldn't get delivered until 9 o'clock the next day, to try and encourage people to not work in their family time, in their downtime, in their rest time, and show people, no, we don't expect you to do that. We want you to have good work-life balance.
Yes. Yeah, I like that. And I really like what you were saying, that, you know, at Aviva, you've already, you know, there have been a lot of changes with technology, and what you have done is retrain people,
Yeah,
upskill them, and really help them to adapt to the changes.
yeah,
And I guess the times are gone, like perhaps in our parents' age, where you would learn, you would study, you would, you know, develop your career, and you would stay with that for, you know, in your entire working life. And I guess
yeah.
those days are
Job for
gone.
life,
Yeah. And so
definitely.
now we keep changing, we keep adapting, and that, you know, the company can facilitate that, but also facilitate the managing that, so that it's not overwhelming, so that there
Yeah,
is a time to
definitely.
go, okay, this is enough. Amazing. Thank you so much. I mean, I'd be quite happy to carry on talking to you, but I know you've got to go. So thank you very much. If
No,
anyone has any
pleasure. Nice talking to
questions,
you too.
yeah, if anyone has any questions, they can obviously, you know, comment and ask anything. So
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I'm happy for anyone to ask anything more.
fantastic. Thank you very much, Victoria.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.